CV nggak apa-apa, Iran aja. Selamat. Berapa? Sama aja.
Selamat pagi.
Bisa.
Selamat pagi.
Selamat.
Selamat sore, Prof. Irina. Good afternoon, Prof.
Selamat sore.
Prof. Irina, selamat datang.
Halo, Prof.
Terima kasih banyak ya.
Oh,
I'm
Assalamualaikum.
sorry you have to wait with Prof. Irina because we can start even for
I'm here. I can start.
okay. We can wait about 5 minutes again. Do you
Okay.
mind it?
Yes, yes.
Thank you so much.
Saya kok kelempar ya. Tapi semester nggak apa-apa, nggak apa-apa. Kalau kemarin bahasa. Oh.
Good morning, Bu Erina.
Ya, selamat sore.
My name is Fauzan.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Do you remember me, Prof. Erina? We met in UGM.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for your coming.
Thank you.
How are you, teacher?
Yes, thank you, fine.
Fine. You speak bahasa Indonesia, Prof. Erina?
Huh?
Do you speak Indonesian?
Yeah,
Yeah. Alhamdulillah.
in conference, during the conference.
Yes, yes. In this conference, would you like to speak bahasa Indonesia or bahasa Inggris?
Ya, sedikit. Ya.
Sedikit ya. Bagaimana cuaca di Rusia, Bu Irina?
Agak dingin.
Dingin ya.
Iya.
Di Indonesia sedang panas ini.
No, selalu panas.
Kalau panas ya.
Selalu panas.
Ibu
Iya.
sudah berapa kali di Indonesia ya? Momen
11.
11 ya. Masya
Iya.
Allah. Di UIN ya dulu Ibu ya. Di dosen,
Ah,
di profesor di Universitas Islam Negeri. UIN.
UIN, ya, di UIN. Ya. Di Lampung, UIN. Di
UIN
Radenentang.
Lampung.
Ya.
Ada teman dari UIN Palembang nanti minta Ibu Irina, apakah boleh saya berikan kepada mereka?
Ya, boleh.
Boleh, terima kasih. Ya. Saya
Baik,
yang dari
baik, kita bisa mulai. Oke. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat sore semuanya. Good morning for you, Profesor Irana Katkova. Selamat datang di acara Visiting Profesor yang diselenggarakan oleh Program Studi Sastra Indonesia Fakultas Ilmu Budaya Universitas Diponegoro tahun 2024 dengan tema The Influence of Local Culture in the Development of Sufi Literature in the Nusantara Archipelago. Terima kasih kepada seluruh peserta yang telah hadir pada webinar kali ini. Sebelumnya, izinkan saya memperkenalkan diri. Nama saya Siti Komaria yang akan menjadi MC pada acara hari ini. Untuk mengawali acara, marilah kita semua membuka acara dengan bacaan basmalah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Baik, sebelum kita memulai acara, marilah kita semua mendengarkan lagu Indonesia Raya secara bersama-sama. Baik, terima kasih. Acara selanjutnya adalah sambutan yang akan disampaikan oleh Ketua Program Studi Sastra Indonesia Fakultas Ilmu Budaya Universitas Diponegoro. Kepada Bapak Dr. Soekarjo Waloyo M.Hum, disilakan.
Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. The Honorable Deans of Faculty of Humanities, Diponegoro University, Profesor Dr. Alamsa SS M.Hum, The Honorable Profesor Dr. Irina Katkova from Saint Petersburg University, Russian, who is the speaker at the visiting professor held by the Indonesian Literature Study Program today. The Honorable Vice Dean for Academic and Student Affairs of Faculty of Humanities, Dr. Eta Farmacelia Nurul Haji, SS M.Hum, MA, PhD. The Honorable Vice Dean for Resources Affairs of Faculty of Humanities, Dr. Siti Mazia M.Hum. The Honorable Head of Departments, Head of Study Programs, and Secretaries of Study Program in Faculty of Humanities. The Honorable Mr. Nur Fauzan Ahmad SSMA and the team of the visiting professor event committee, the Honorable lecturers and also students and all participants of the visiting professor today. Indonesian literature is one of the treasures of the Indonesian nation. It contains the long history of this nation and its interaction with various fields. Sufi literature is a genre that breeds Islam with local wisdom in Indonesia. The theme of our visiting professor session is the influence of local culture in the development of Sufi literature in Nusantara Archipelago will be interesting topic for discussion. I would like to express my gratitude to all participants involved. Finally, I wish you all an inspiring experience during today's visiting professor session. Thank you very much. Terima kasih. Saya berharap visiting professor siang hari ini akan menjadi perbincangan dan diskusi yang menarik. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam dari Semarang, Indonesia.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Hormat.
Terima kasih atas sambutan hangatnya dari Bapak Ketua Prodi Sastra Indonesia. Sambutan selanjutnya akan disampaikan oleh Dekan Fakultas Ilmu Budaya Universitas Diponegoro, sekaligus juga membuka acara visiting profesor pada hari ini. Kepada Profesor Dr. Alamsyah SSM Hum, dipersilakan.
Oke, thank you, Miss Siti Komaria. Ya, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Excellencies, the honorable guest speakers, Ibu Profesor Dr. Irina Erkatkova from St. Petersburg University, Russia. Good morning in
Morning.
Russia time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then good afternoon in Indonesian time. And then the head of the Indonesia Literature Study Program, Bapak Dr. Soekarjo Waluyo M.Hum, and then the Chief of Committee, Bapak Fauzan M.A., all lecturer from the Literature Department, and then distinguished participant, ladies and gentlemen, especially students from Department of Literature, Faculty of Humanities. Welcome to today's online lectures on a fascinating topic, the influence of local culture in development of Sufi literature in the Nusantara Archipelago. We are thrilled to have you join us via Zoom online meeting, united by our shared interest in literature, culture, and spirituality. As we embark on this exploration, let us take a moment to appreciate the rich tapestry that the Nusantara Archipelago presents, comprising thousands of islands and diverse ethnic groups. This region is not only a melting pot of cultures, but also a vibrant cradle of spiritual thought. Sufism, with its profound emphasis on inner experience and connection to the divine, have woven itself into the fabric of local tradition, language, and custom, influencing not just spiritual practices, but also artistic expressions. Today, we will delve into how local cultures have shaped Sufi literature in the Nusantara, infusing it with unique perspective and narratives. We will examine the interplay between indigenous belief and Sufi thought, revealing how the synthesis has given rise to a distinct literary tradition that resonate deeply with the people of the Archipelago. We are honored to have with us Ibu Profesor Irina Erkatkova from Russia, a distinguished speaker who brings a wealth of knowledge and insight into these subjects. Her expertise will guide us through the nuances of Sufi literatures and its local adaptation, shedding light on the interplay between faith, culture, and artistic expression. I encourage all of you to engage actively throughout the lectures, ask questions, share your thoughts, and let this be a dynamic exchange of ideas. I hope our collaboration today will inspire excitement for fostering partnership in area such as joint research and then co-publication, student exchange, dual degree program, and summer course program. Thank you once again for being here. Let us now embark on this enlightening journey together. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much for your warm greetings kepada Bapak Dekan. Baik, acara selanjutnya yaitu foto bersama yang akan kita lakukan setelah ini. Kepada para peserta diharapkan untuk membuka kamera agar dapat diambil tangkapan layarnya. For the participant, please open the camera because we want to take a picture together. Oke? Panitia bisa dibantu? Baik, kita bisa mulai berpose. Silahkan dibuka kamera. Please open your camera. We can start at 1, 2, 3. Okay, once again. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Okay, once again for the last. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you so much. Terima kasih semuanya. Kemudian acara selanjutnya adalah pemaparan materi yang akan disampaikan oleh Profesor Dr. Irina Katkova from Saint Petersburg University, Rusia. Kemudian akan dimoderatori oleh Bapak Herpin Nopiandi Kurosan SSMA. Herpin Nopiandi merupakan salah satu dosen dari program studi sastra Indonesia, Fakultas Ilmu Budaya Universitas Diponegoro, yang berkutat di atau masuk ke dalam peminatan filologi. Beliau menyelesaikan program sarjana di Universitas Pajajaran, kemudian menyelesaikan program magister di Fakultas Ilmu Budaya Universitas Gadjah Mada. Kepada Bapak Herpin, waktu dan tempat kami persilakan.
Baik. Baik, terima kasih Miss Siti Komariah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this event, our latest program in this semester, visiting professor lecture with Professor Dr. Irina Katkova, entitled with the influence of local culture in the development of Sufi literature in the Nusantara Archipelago. My name is Hervin Nopiandi Hrosan, and I will be your moderator for this event today. I'm very happy. I'm very delighted to be here to become the part of this event, visiting professor program. First and foremost, I would like to express my gratitude to Professor Dr. Irina Katkova for her willingness for take time for us to give her knowledge, her understanding, insight about the influence of culture of local culture to the development of Sufi literature in Indonesia. Professor Dr. Irina Katkova, terima kasih. And after that, I would like to thanks to the Department of Indonesian Literature Program from Faculty of Humanity, Diponegoro University, and also to the PIC, to the steering committee, and all members who worked very hard for this event. And of course, I would like to thank a big thank to all of you, the participant from for our program, for the willingness, for the attendance, and also in later in the discussion in this visiting professor program. All right. Right now, I would like to introduce our speaker today, Professor Dr. Irina Katkova. So, Professor Dr. Irina Katkova is a professor at the Faculty of Oriental Studies, St. Petersburg's University, with primary or research interest in Orientalist historian. Professor Irina Katkova have a very vast language capabilities, including Indonesian, Persian, English, Dutch, Arabic, also Japanese and German. It's, it's what it's very amazing, right? Professor Irina Katkova graduated from the Oriental Studies Faculty of Oriental Studies, St. Petersburg University, and have so much experience. Professor Irina Katkova also lecture at St. Petersburg Christian Humanitarian Academy, and also visiting professor at the State Islamic University in Sarif Hidayatullah in Jakarta, and also came back to St. Petersburg University, Faculty of Oriental Studies. There are so many work, research work, also grant, and also fellowship. I cannot describe, I cannot mention it one by one and explain it one by one, but some of them is the grant from the Islamic Manuscript Association in Cambridge University, UK. Also, the the Petersburg Institute of Oriental Manuscript, focusing on the history of relation of several Malay states. Also, fellow visiting scholar at Nordic Institute of Asian Studies in Copenhagen, and also Summer University in Budapest, Religion, Identity, and Syncretism. So much in the Netherlands Academic Science, also fellow in Schollinger Institute Library in Leiden University, and also Den Haag Nation Archive. Besides that, Professor Irina Katkova also has published so much book. One of them is the monograph on the history of Sufism and Sufi literature on the Malay Archipelago in the 18th to 19th centuries, supplied with the translation and commentaries of the next Malay manuscript by Abdul Samad Afalimbani, entitled with Tuhfatur Raghibin fi Bayanil Hakikotil Iman. This monograph become the source, become the material for such course such as Islamic Studies, Sufi literature, history of Islam in Indonesia, and also another courses, of course. All right, that's all the curriculum vitae from Professor Dr. Irina Katkova. So after this, we will hear the lecture from our speaker, Professor Dr. Irina Katkova. Professor Dr. Irina Katkova will deliver the material around about 1 hour, and after that, we will shift to question and answer session. So for those of you who want to ask to Professor Irina Katkova, you can raise your hand or write in the chat book, and I will read it for Dr. Irina Katkova. Right? Without further ado, let's warm welcome Professor Dr. Irina Katkova. The screen is yours.
May I start? Yes, may I start?
Yes, of course. Please,
Yeah.
Professor.
So first of all, thank you very much for your invitation, for participation in this conference. I'm very glad to see you all today. And I would like to tell about the collection of Malay manuscripts in Russia. The main preservation place of Malay manuscripts in Russia is St. Petersburg, and namely the Institute of Oriental Manuscripts in St. Petersburg. This institute was founded in 1818 as Asian Museum by the order of the Russian Tsar, with the aim to collect rarities and manuscript written heritage from various Oriental countries. And during this almost more than a century of its existence, the Institute collected a very large collection of manuscripts, which numbers about 80,000 manuscripts in different Oriental languages. In particular, 8,000 manuscripts in Arabic Greek. And among them, we have also a small collection of Malay manuscripts. It numbers only 14 manuscripts and 56 documents, early Malay letters. This is a very rare collection of Governor General Van Horn, dating back to the end of the 17th, the beginning of the 18th century. And by the way, the largest in the world collection of the documents of the East Indian Company, VOC. But among these 14 manuscripts, the collection is rather small, but it contains almost all genres of Malay literature, like hikayats, shair, kitab literature, and or maybe historic treatises. For example, we have one copy of Sejarah Melayu, which was brought in the end of the 18th century by Russian Admiral Krusenstern and gifted to the Russian Academy of Sciences from Malacca. It was brought from Malacca. In this collection, we also have a very rare copies, unique copies of collections of manuscripts written by Ahmed Bramka, a famous Batavian writer of the 19th century. The collection has 9 manuscripts written by this family. And among kitab literature, I would like to mention the sample of one sample of Malay manuscript of Tufat ar-Rakhibin fi Bayani Hakikat al-Imam, written in the 18th century by Sheikh Abdasamad al-Palembani. I started my investigation of Sufism from studying and translating of this Malay treatise, which is preserved now in St. Petersburg. And I made the full translation, and this is the only one translation of Sufi Malay work into Russian language. It was supplied by commentaries on the Sufi theology, Sufi aspects of belief, some peculiarities of Malay Sufi doctrines, and the history of the Brotherhood Tariqah Sammaniya in the world, and in particular on Malay Archipelago, and of course the creative work and life of Abdasamad al-Palembani itself. And this monograph was published in 2009. And it was also my PhD thesis. And after it,
may I share your PowerPoint, your slide to the participant?
Yes, you can show
okay.
the slide. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. But now I'm continuing my research work in this institute as a consultant, and also studying the collection of Malay letters, which was written by different aristocrats and sultans from various Malay states, to Governor General Johan van Horn. However, I'm also involved in studying Sufi literature and history of Sufism on the archipelago, which is the theme of our discussion today. Here on the slide, you see 2 pages of this collection. It is the collection of Van Dorning. The collection of Van Dorning, the Dutch man who served in the VOC, in the Dutch East India Company on Sumatra in the 19th century. It was bought by the Russian government for Asian Museum, this collection, as well as the other collections. They were also bought in the beginning of the 20th century by the Russian government for Asian Museum. For example, this Van Dorning, the collection of Dr. Frank, and others. The collection of Lihachev, this is the collection of early Malay letters, and now they are preserved in the Institute of Oriental Manuscripts. However, we are speaking about the peculiarities of Sufism on Malay archipelago today. And I have mentioned that I was writing a book about the Sammaniya and the history and some doctrines of Sammaniya in the archipelago. And I would like to mention today that this is the branch of Khalvatiya. And if we speak about the influence of the local culture in Indonesia on the Sufi doctrines, so I can mention, first of all, the Khalvatiya branch, the Khalvatiya Yusuf and creative work of the Yusuf Makassar. And of course, you know this name, that is a prominent Sufi Shaykh on the archipelago, who also brought the doctrine of Khalvatiya theology to the Malay archipelago, as well as Abdas Samad al-Palembang. And moreover, Yusuf Makassar created his own syncretistic doctrine, which includes the elements of the Tariqa Naqshbandiya, Tariqa Khalvatiya, and his own individual teaching. And now it is popular, for example, on Sulawesi as the Khalvatiya Yusuf branch. And to tell the truth, it is less studied today. But speaking about Sufi literature and the history of Sufism on the archipelago, we can tell, first of all, that there are different modes of Sufism on the archipelago today. From the old-fashioned modes of Sufism, like, for example, in Suru, in Sumatra, in Western Sumatra, in Aceh, or to postmodern doctrines of Naqshbandiya Sheikh of Western Sumatra, which is rather modern for today. I think you know also that I was a leader of Endangered Archives program of British Library in the 2008-2010 in Western Sumatra. And during this project, we have digitized about 80 Sufi manuscripts from the Suru of Western Sumatra, such as Suru Muhammad Said Panjol from Eastern Pasaman Timur, Suru Tuataram, and Pesantren Maulana Kari in Jambi. And among these digitized manuscripts, there were very many works by local Sufi sheikhs, which are not so famous, but I think that they created their and contributed to the development of the Sufi doctrine, local Sufi doctrine. And I would like to underline that it is less studied and we don't know much about these local forms of Islam. And the main task is to study the regional Islam, and especially for studying Islam in Indonesia, because Indonesia is a rather big country, multinational, and in every region we have a special regional form of Islam based on its local history and local culture, of course. Like, for example, in such regions as Aceh or in Java, in Eastern Java, Central and Eastern Java, you know that these regions were influenced much by the Hindu-Buddhist influence. And not only local Hindu-Buddhist past and history, but by the Brotherhood Shattariya, which penetrated to the archipelago about 15th, 16th century from India and from Bengal, or another version from the southern India, Malabar coast, and influenced much, for example, on Aceh, and to west, and it was further later penetrated to the western Sumatra, and was brought there by the famous local sheikh Burhanuddin in the 17th century. And Shattariya is the most Indianized and syncretic brotherhood among Malay tarikats. And the studying of its doctrine is very important for investigating exactly the influence of local culture, because I would like to mention once more that Indonesia has Hindu-Buddhist historical background. And I can also tell that, which is also very important for our discussion today about the local culture, that among Sufi tarikats on Malay Archipelago, you have Orthodox, the so-called Orthodox tarikats, and non-Orthodox. And the most interesting for us for this theme is the non-Orthodox tarikats. For example, among the so-called non-Orthodox Sufi brotherhoods, it's important to pay attention to Akmaliya or Hakmaliya, which had a great influence in Western Java or in Cirebon region in the 19th century due to its anti-colonial activity. The teaching of this tarika is a bright example of unique and syncretic character of Javanese mysticism, namely the teaching of a prominent Javanese wali, Sunan Bonang, of 15th, 16th centuries, who harmonized the elements of the early centuries Islam on Java and Hindu-Buddhist Tantrism. Nelmo Sempurna in Javanese, and also the elements of Hindu-Buddhist Tantrism from the local region. Sheikhs of Hakmalia are considered to be the adherents of Wujudiya and pretend for the privileged status among other tariqah, as they possess the perfect knowledge of prophets and awliya in their doctrines. The term Wujudiya is substituted by the basic term of Javanese mysticism, Manundalin Kavala Gusti. This term constitutes the relationships between the Lord and his friend on beloved, or the disappearance of the distinctions between them as a result of their ultimate unity. It is evident that the veneration of saints is a typical feature of Javanese Islam, and consequently the doctrine of sainthood in Javanese Kasektan. And you know that Sekti is a derivation of Sanskrit Siddha. And this is the core or the essence of this teaching. According to Javanese ideas, Sekti is universal supernatural energy penetrating all space. Possession of Sekti corresponds to the different steps in the hierarchy of sainthood. The doctrine of hierarchy of sainthood was introduced by the legendary figure of Javanese Islam, Sunan Bonan, who explains it as a heavenly equivalent of Kaaba or Beit al-Makmur. On the level of microcosm, it is represented by the human head as a treasure of vital force. Soul and imperishable part of soul, Suksma, and the innermost divine part of the soul, or Sir. It can be called the key doctrine for understanding the significance of the main formula of Javanese Sufism, which sounds in the following way: Ora ana paniran nangin insun. There is no God except me. This is no other than a formula of radical monism. And you know that the word insun, me, has ambivalent meaning in Javanese, chromo ingil, both me of human being and me of God. The formula reflects really the great paradox regarding to a person possessing perfect knowledge and distinguishing Islam in Java and also this formula can be explained in the following words, that Muslim cannot be considered the true believer until he becomes unbelievable or believing in himself only. Moreover, almost all practical methods of Hakmalia, like meditation and zikr, are evidently of tantric origin. So you can see the local influence on the development of Sufi doctrines here. Moreover, I can tell also that there are several hypotheses of the Islamic penetration to the archipelago, and among one of them, Indian, Arabic, you know, and Chinese, and one of it, namely Chinese, I think is the most important for our discussion, as we have much influence of Chinese Kubravia doctrine, for example, in Western Java. If we start investigating, for example, such works as Babat Demak, Babat Chiribon, you will find the traces of Silsila of the Tariqa Kubravia, which is the Central Asian Tariqa, it was founded in Central Asia by the legendary Sheikh of Kubravia, Najmuddin al-Kubra, in the 14th century. And there is a hypothesis that the teaching of this Tariqa was brought to China, to southern China, to the Guangzhou, and then it was brought by traders, Chinese traders, to Malay Archipelago. And it is famous, we know that the teaching of Kubravia from Central Asia was famous on Java in the 15th century, because there is treatise in Javanese as Suluk Garva Kanchana, which is in fact the translation of the famous work of the Kubravia Sheikh Najmuddin al-Razi from Central Asia, and contains the doctrine of Kubravia Tariqa. So we cannot help mentioning the influence of the Central Asian literature on the Sufi literature on the archipelago. I can also mention the influence of Hanafite theological school from Central Asia on Sufi literature in Indonesia, because while working as a leader of the project of digitizing Western Sumatra and studying and collecting the Sufi manuscripts of Naqshbandi and Shattariya brotherhoods in Sufi Sulu in Western Sumatra, we have collected many infamous manuscripts on Sufi, on Naqshbandiya doctrines and Shattariya. And if we look critically on it, we will see that they were written in the style of and under the influence of the Hanafite theological schools, which was originated in Central Asia. So we cannot deny the strong influence of Central Asian tariqas and Sufi and theological schools in the Middle Ages. So the influence was not only from the India and from Hindu Buddhism, which is doubtless the special feature of the Sufism in Indonesia, both in Sumatra and on Java, and even on Sulawesi. But we cannot deny the Central Asian influence too, via China or directly via I don't know exactly. That is a very, very complicated question. But if we speak about the development of local culture, I can also mention such treatises as with titles, for example, like Tasawwuf dan Mantra. So we can see in the Sufi literature also the influence of local culture, for example, the influence of magic elements on Sufi literature. During this project in Western Sumatra, we also discovered one treatise which was called Tasawwuf dan Mantra. And it represents a comparative analysis of mantras and formulas of Sufi zikr. And I can also tell you about now about the important, I think that this is important thing, that is the influence of medieval conceptions of mysticism on the development of the Sufi doctrines on Malay archipelago, and which was developed in the tenets of brotherhoods too, like, for example, Chattari and Naqshbandiya. And I mean precisely the conception of subtle sentence, Latai, which was also originated in Central Asia, in Kubraviya Brotherhood, but then it penetrated to India and was elaborated further by Sheikh As-Simnani in the 16th century. And in the 17th century, it was developed further by the famous Shatari Sheikh Muhammad Ghaus Gwalior. And there is a famous treatise, Amrita Kunda, which was written originally in Sanskrit, but was translated by Sheikh Muhammad Hafs al-Gwalior into Persian, and it influenced much the Sufi literature of Brotherhood Shatariya on Malay Archipelago. And I can mention that this teaching contains many elements of tantric Hindu Buddhism teaching of Vaishnava Sahaja. But if we speak about the local culture and this theory, Sufi theory of the man of light and the subtle centers Lataif, we can also remember the name of Ratangabe Hirongo Varsito, who also developed the theory of chakras and the subtle centers Lataif in his treatises. And I think that was the Javanese contribution to the further development of this medieval conception of subtle centers Lataif and the man of light. So, in conclusion, I can tell that the Sufi literature on Malay archipelago is a very, very complicated phenomenon because you have very many regional forms of Islam, like, for example, in Aceh, in Northern Sumatra, in Western Sumatra. On Java, you have also three regional forms in Eastern Java, in Central and Western Java, and also in Sulawesi. And I don't mention now, for example, Buton on Borneo or Borneo states, Pajo states, because they have also less studied Sufi heritage, for example, Brotherhood Samania. And so this is a very complicated phenomena, and in every region, it was influenced, of course, by the local culture, by the local history, and it is a very great task to study all Sufi heritage, to make translation work, to make commentaries, because many manuscripts were written in local languages, for example, not only in Malay, but in Javanese, in Sundanese, for example, in Volio. And so that is a great work in future. So, and we can discuss for a long time because it is many, many aspects for discussion. So thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Professor Dr. Irina Katko. Or should we call from Irina to be easier? For amazing presentation, lecture this today, yeah, about the connection, about the influence of local culture to the development of Sufism in Indonesia. There are so many interesting information, interesting uh, insight to that topic. Uh, the several of them I would like to mention. The first one, we know that uh, so much there are Institute of Oriental Manuscript of Russian has so many manuscript, 8,000 manuscript of Arabic manuscript and 14 manuscript and also 47 document uh, related to Southeast Asia, especially Nusantara, like in form of syair, kitab, or historical treatise. And after that, Professor Irina Katkova also uh, discussed about uh, her her research Tuhfatur Ragibin fi Bayanil Hakikotil Iman, karya Abdus Samad Apalimbani, write about Samaniyah doctrine, one of the brands of Khalwatiyah, from which is popularized by Yusuf Al-Makassari uh, in maybe in Maros, Sulawesi Selatan, which is syncretize the doctrine element from Naksabandia and another Sufi order, and also the unique uh, doctrine from their uh, Sufi order uh, doctrine. Prof. Irina Katkova said that local Sufi doctrine is very less studied in Indonesia, and it is a big opportunity for us to explore more, to delve deeper into this unique shape of Sufism in Southeast Asia, like in Aceh, in Eastern Java, or also in Cirebon, and so on. Professor Irina also track the 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 trajectory uh, of the Sufi order in Indonesia, like which is influenced by Satoriya, by Sufism in India, Torikoh in India. The doctrine is very important because in Indonesia, we have the influence from Hindu Buddhist historical context. So Sufism Indonesia not only um, have a great influence uh, uh, from the Hindu Buddha era, but also have a great uh, influence from Central Asia, Central Asia, from the Kubrawi, yeah, by Najmuddin Al-Kubrawi, uh, which is have a doctrine like uh, Ittihad al-Hulul, or Wahdatul Wujud, the unity of existence, uh, which is emerged in their doctrine. That doctrine come to Indonesia, to Nusantara, rather it by uh, via Chinese, or directly to Nusantara from Central Asia. In Asia, in Southeast Asia, especially in Nusantara, there are a magical element, local element like mantra, which is have influence to Sufism, uh, and there are also the conception of lataif, the uh, subtle element that is not occupied the space, or don't have and not have a matter. Uh, from Ala Adaula Asimnani. So the conception of Sufi literature is very complicated, but it shed a light for us to start to translate it, the manuscript from local language, from Java, Sunda, and so on, to 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 become our object of study is a great opportunity for us to research to this conception of uh, Sufi uh, Sufi writing or Sufi treatise. So that's all maybe that I can highlight from what Professor Irona Katkova delivered to us. And now we open the floor, we open the screen for discussion. We shift to discussion to answer and answer session. Uh, for those all of you who want to ask your to deal for your question, you can directly ask to Professor Irina Katkova with raise your hand with using the React the raise your hand feature in this Zoom platform, or you can write in the chat box, and I will read it to Professor Irina Katkova. Maybe we can start to open the first term.
Yes, yes, you can.
Alright. Barang siapa yang hendak bertanya silahkan. Andai kata ada yang hendak ditanyakan kepada Profesor Irina Katkova, silahkan. Anda bisa raise hand ya, tidak mesti tidak dan menyampaikan apa yang hendak Anda sampaikan kepada Profesor Irina Katkova ya. Jadi kita sudah membahas banyak hal ya bersama Prof. Irina bahwa kajian terhadap Sufisme terutama yang ada di Nusantara ini yang sangat unik, yang dipengaruhi tidak hanya oleh Sufisme dari Asia Tengah misalkan, tapi juga dipengaruhi juga oleh aspek-aspek lokalitas yang ada di kita. Jadi ada semacam sinkretisme antara antara pengaruh dari Asia Tengah sehingga juga membumi dengan ajaran-ajaran atau mungkin doktrin-doktrin yang sudah ada terlebih dahulu di Nusantara. Baik, nampaknya ada satu yang berhendak bertanya, ya silakan, Mas. Oh ini Mbak Zikra ya. Oke, Mbak Zikra. Setelah itu Mbak Rizal ya, silakan. Oh iya, Mas Rizal, mohon maaf. Mbak Zikra ya. Silakan Mbak Zikra, sampaikan pertanyaannya.
Baik, terima kasih moderator. Good afternoon everybody. I'm Zikra from Lingkar Philology Pusat. This is my second time to attend the lecture from Prof. Irina. My first time to join her lecture was when I was a student in graduate school Syarif Hidayatullah Jakarta around 2017 or 2019. That was your also professor lecturing, I guess, at that time. So about this topic is Sufi literature in the Nusantara Archipelago. As far as I know, that mostly the Sufi literature, or I mean Sufi manuscript in Indonesia, the purpose of the Sufi manuscript in Indonesia was for study. So how the connection between education and local culture in the Sufi manuscript showed in the local Malay manuscript based on your experience, previous previously you said you was the principal investigator for manuscript digitization. Uh, how far the influence of local culture, and the Sufi manuscript, because the Sufi manuscript mostly the purpose is for study or for education. That's my question. Thank you, and I give the time back to moderator.
All right, thank you, Bazika. Bazika, as to Professor Irina, connection between education and local culture, which is manifest in manuscript. And the second question is how far the influence of uh, local culture to the manuscript in Nusantara in Indonesia. All right, maybe kita akan mengumpulkan terlebih dahulu 3 pertanyaan. Nah, pertanyaan kedua dari Mas Rizal FIB. Please, Mas Rizal dari FIB Undip.
Okay,
Thank you very much for the opportunity and sorry. Okay, thank you very much for the opportunity and learning from Professor Irina. So before that, let me introduce myself. My name is Rizky Fahrizal Aziz, and I'm from the Department of Indonesian Literature in Diponegoro University. So, as we know, in Indonesia or Nusantara, there are many local wisdoms that are developing in Indonesia. This local wisdom has a very important role in Indonesia society. For example, like Wawaler in Java, which developed in Java, contains taboos and advice that are strongly adhered to by the local community. So my question is, does the local wisdoms that is very influential in local Indonesian society also have influence on the development of Sufi literature in the Nusantara archipelago? So that's all my question. Thank you.
Mas Rizal asked about how far local wisdom, like in their hometown, Wawaler, makes an influence to the development of Sufi literature in the Nusantara archipelago. All right, maybe this 2 question we can you can answer, Professor Ina Katkova. The first one is from
I will answer to Zikra first.
Zikra. Yes, Zikra first.
Yeah, but I didn't understand exactly. She asked the second question. How far is the local culture influence?
Yes, the
How
Sufi
far?
manuscript.
How far in the world, or how deep, or how? I cannot understand the essence of this question, geographically or not. How far is in?
Maybe we can verify to Mbak Zikra. In what term of that far in your question, it is regardless to the distance or to the deepness of influence of local culture to the manuscript of Nusantara Archipelago Sufism literature. Mbak Zikra?
Yeah, okay, sorry. I cannot on cam, yeah. Sorry, yeah. Okay.
No problem.
My my question is about how the local cultures influence the Sufi manuscript in Malay or in the Nusantara archipelago, because as far as I know, most of the Sufi manuscripts on purpose for education. So how the culture manifest in that manuscript, Sufi manuscript in Nusantara Archipelago.
All right.
Do you understand? I don't understand the essence
All
of
right.
the question.
All right. How the way I got it is how uh, local culture uh, give influence to the manuscript. In the first, in the first, in the first, in the first question, Bazak Zikra asks how far influence how far the influence of local culture to Sufi manuscript. But in the second question, he asks how local wisdom influence the Sufi manuscript. So the method that
Maybe he means what was the influence of Sufi literature on the development of the written heritage, on the
yes,
local written heritage in Nusantara. But of course, it was great because you
that's
know
great.
that almost all manuscripts, kitab literature, were written in Javi, and that is Arabic graphic language, and it influenced much on the development of not only Sufi literature, but literature in general in Nusantara. We can also remember shairs and hikayats. They were also written in Javi. And hikayat and shair, this is the local genres of literature, but they were written in the Arabic graphic. And you know that Islam penetrated to archipelago in the Sufi form. And that's why we are speaking about the Sufi influence on the development on the literature in Nusantara. And if we speak about the manuscript writing, the culture of manuscript writing in Nusantara, I can tell that it was developed and based exactly on Sufi brotherhoods, on the culture of the Sufi brotherhoods. Like, for example, Shartariya. Shartariya contributed much more than other. For example, in Sumatra and on Java too, or on Java mostly in Kratons, on the court libraries. And I can tell also that till the present moment in the tenets of some Sufi brotherhoods, in some surahs, you still preserved the manuscript writing, the art of the manuscript writing. And you still have writers, the Sufi shaykhs, who can write manuscripts even today and contributed to the development of the Sufi literature now. So that is one of the distinctive feature of the local Nusantara culture, because not everywhere in the world you can see that the alive manuscript, the alive art of the manuscript handwriting still preserved in the modernity. I don't know if I answer properly to her question. I don't know, but I have tried.
All right. Thank you very much, Irina, Prof. Irina. So our tradition, our manuscript culture is very distinctive because in nowadays there are no tradition like us who preserve manuscript uh, until now, something like that. In the writing, in the in the handwriting, in a hand script, like something like that. Thank you, Prof. Irina. Maybe you can answer the second question from Muhammad Mas Rizal, if you Undip, who asked the local wisdom like wawaler, which is contained about ethical things or uh, or uh, or education, something like that, contribute or influence the manuscript or the Sufism in Indonesia?
No, I think vice versa, that Sufism contributed and influenced education and ethic life in Nusantara.
Okay.
Not education, because you know that in many Surus, Pesantrans on Java, the disciples, students, they still study the Sufi treatises by, for example, written by Al-Ghazali, for example. It is very famous writer in the Sufi Pesantrans on Java and Sumatra. So we can speak, of course, about the Sufi influence on the education on Java. And in your Islamic universities, like, for example, UIN, the students also study the Sufi literature.
Alright. Jadi pengaruh Sufisme sangat besar terhadap pendidikan, bahwa apa yang kita pelajari di pesantren-pesantren ya buku-buku Sufisme seperti dari karya Al-Ghazali, Ihya Ulumuddin seperti itu, atau Bidayatul Hidayah and so on. So Sufism have a great impact to our education in Indonesia, and in UIN also studied the the heritage of Al-Ghazali or another Sufi order, something like that. Thank you very much, Prof. Irina. Maybe we can shift to the third question from Ahmad Ridho Aziz. Silakan, Mas Ahmad Ridho Aziz.
Baik, terima kasih. Suara saya jelas, Pak?
Jelas sekali terdengar, Mas Ridho, Ahmad Ridho Aziz.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Honorable Prof. Irina Katkova, the members of the academic committees of the Ponegoro University, particularly the Dean, head of the department, and their teams, distinguished from participants of this visiting lecturer session. Yeah, my name is Ahmad Ridai. I'm from Steinmajene. This session is particularly interesting to me, and I would like to thank to the moderator for giving me the opportunity to share a few points, maybe. I came from Majene, Sulawesi. In our region, manuscripts are commonly referred to as lontar. Jadi we call lontar. Mungkin teman-teman di Indonesia sudah mengenal, artinya lontar ini in the form of rolled writings on leaves and other materials. I mean, itu ditulis dengan di atas daun ya, mungkin material atau materi-material yang lain. And we belong to the Mandar ethnic group. Yeah, perhaps these have been mentioned. I mean, this lontar, too many people in, for example, Leiden University had a research in the Mandar. Maybe Prof. Irina have visited by the research. in Mandar manuscript, we are recognized for the history of autonomous governance by the seven kingdoms in the upper region and the seven kingdoms in the downriver region. Jadi in Mandar we call Pitu Ulun Nasalu dan Pitu Bakbana Binanga. Perhaps Prof. Irina Katkova has information about the manuscripts in Imam Lapeo. Imam Lapeo, or what is often referred to the Imam Lapeo manuscripts, which were long writing by the Imam Lapeo. Imam Lapeo of the mosque in Lapeo, Poleli Mandar, West Sulawesi. Maybe Prof. Irina, it will be wonderful if you could visit us in Majene for the next study. We face several challenges here. There are many manuscripts owned by the Mandar community, but we are very difficult to access. For example, forced to digital or similar. Looks like we want to the manuscript to publish for many people outside, many people too, so that we can read that in Indonesian. But in Mandar still secret, masih sangat dirahasiakan. The local community tends to be reluctant to reveal these writings or manuscript to the public. Jadi, even though they may contain crucial information relevant to contemporary society, maybe now, based on your experience, Prof. Irina, what strategies would you suggest for dealing with communities that are still highly reluctant to this close or public case that manuscripts left by their ancestors, especially regarding certain Sufi orders, tarikat that are still kept sacred to this day. That's all for now. I hope Prof. Irina had understand. Thanks. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Terima kasih Mas Ahmad Ridho Aziz ya untuk pertanyaannya. In Mandar, there are also many manuscripts, but we cannot access that. So we can how to make it accessible for the world. And the second question is, what strategies that we can use to dealing to the community that's reluctant to the researcher like in Mandar? All right.
Well, thank you very much for very interesting information. I will be glad maybe to take part in studying these manuscripts. Regarding the strategy, I think there is no special strategy. The only one strategy in researching and to make accessible for public the manuscripts, I understand that the manuscripts are the second objects to some extent, and the only one strategy is to establish the personal, very good, friendly personal contacts with the owners of these manuscripts, for making, for taking the permission to research this manuscript, or maybe to digitize these manuscripts and make it open for public, because not all people, not all owners of these second manuscripts want to make it open for public. Because that is a problem. But not only special strategy, only to establish the personal contacts. It depends on the concrete person, place, and time, and the conditions, of course. So do you understand me?
Yes.
Because when we were working in Western Sumatra in several suru, the owners and Sufi sheikhs and private owners of the collections, they were all different. And it depended on our personal contacts. For example, in Pasaman, Timor, it is a very strict region, and they are not glad to see even Indonesians, not to speak about foreigners. So they allowed us just to see and to work for several hours, one day, not more. So the strategy is very different. It depends on the concrete place and the conditions of work and the geographical place, of course, because, for example, Pasaman Timor is in the mountains. So it was rather difficult to work there. But I agree with you that it is very important to make the collections available for open public for reading, and maybe to preserve them because of your humid climate and bad conditions of preserving, because this literary heritage of Nusantara, and it should be preserved, of course.
Right. Thank you very much, Prof. Irina Katkova and Ahmad Ridho Aziz for interesting question. Maybe we run out of time and we can shift to another question from Fauzan. Fauzan asked to Professor Irina about that Ibrahim Al-Qurani wrote Itofudaki, which is interpretation of Wahdatul Wujud for the debate of Muslim Sufi in Nusantara. As an answer to the Hamzah Fansuri from Aceh Al-Jawi, it is this a sign that we work of Sufism literature in the Nusantara, so influenced the discourse of global Islam in the 17th century. Is there any? And the second question is, how about Muhammad Khotib As-Sambasi from West Kalimantan? He combined between Qadiriyah and Naqshbandiyah. Is your university collect this manuscript under the title of Fathul Arifin or even West Kalimantan manuscript? Spasiba, Prof. Irina. So there are two questions from Fauzan Bayhaqi. The first one, regardless to Itofudaki by Ahmad Ibrahim Al-Qurani as an answer or to Hamzah Fansuri, Wahdatul Wujud. And the second, is there any connection to the discourse of global Islam in the 19th century? And the second question from Khairul Fuad, about Muhammad Khatib As-Sambasi, which is who's combined between Qadiriyah and Naqshbandiyah. Is there any collection of manuscript in in Russia or in Institute of Oriental Manuscript of Russia Academy of Science? Thank you for the question. Please, Prof. Irina.
Regarding the first question, as if I'm not wrong and understand properly about Muhammad Ibrahim al-Qurani, the famous sheikh, the Kurdish sheikh from Arabia, yeah, true, and Hamza al-Fansuri. But I think that Hamza al-Fansuri lived earlier. Ibrahim al-Qurani is the sheikh from Arabia, mostly Fashatariya sheikh, and not only who lived in Arabia on the edge of the 17th century, mostly in 17th century, and it was later. So I couldn't catch the essence of the question. What is the connection between Ibrahim al-Qurani and Hamza al-Fansuri? To Judea, yes. Yes, they were the adherents of Judea, both. And Ibrahim al-Qurani influenced much on the development of the Sufi teaching in Nusantara and contributed for preparing the disciples from Nusantara. But for example, Asinkili, but not Hamza Fansuri. And as to the manuscripts of Kadiri and Naqshbandiya by Sheikh As-Sambas from Kalimantan, do you want to know about the manuscripts in Russia by him or not? Though I didn't understand, I'm sorry, the question. No, we don't have these such manuscripts in Russia. No.
All right. Thank you very much, Prof. Irina, for the question. So, Ibrahim Al-Qurani or Burhanuddin Ibrahim Ibn Hasan Al-Qurani have connection to Abdul Rahim Asinkli as his disciple, but to Hamzah Fansuri, there's no trace regarding to the global Islam in 17th century. I think that's the answer from Irina to Bapak Fauzan Bayhaqi. And to Ahmad Ridho Aziz, there's no manuscript which is regarding which is have a connection to what you to Muhammad Khatib Asambasi, yeah, entitled with Fathul Arifin, so something like that. And maybe we will go to the next question to Horidatin Nayiro. Horidatin Nayiro, you can you deliver your question right now. You are muted.
Okay, thank you so much for Mr. Harpin for your opportunity for me, and thank you so much for Professor Irina for your explanation about the material for today. So here my question is about the manuscript collection in Russia, Prof. Earlier you have explained to us about the Tuhfatul Rogibin, but here I want to ask is there is any manuscript in Russia besides the Tuhfatul Rogibin, Prof? I think that's all my question. Thank you so much.
Very clear question, I think, from Horidatun Nayira. The collection of manuscript literature regarding to Sufism or another thing from uh, Malay thing in Russia, something like. Is there any another collection beside the Tuhfatul Rogibin, Prof. Irina, in
Well,
Russia?
regarding as to the Sufi literature, we have only one manuscript.
Only one, all right.
But we have other Malay manuscripts. For example, a collection of manuscripts written in Bataya by Bramka family. It numbers 9 manuscripts. It is a rather unique collection because National Library in Jakarta, they have about 30 manuscripts written by this family in the beginning of the 19th century. But in our collection in St. Petersburg, we have 2 unique manuscripts which are not copied in other collections. These are manuscript by Ahmed Branca, which is titled Bataraguru, and the other one, Shair Prang Ruslan Japan. 2 unique manuscripts which are not preserved in other world libraries. And if you speak about the uniqueness of the collection in Russia, you can also remember about the early Malay letters, which are written in different languages, in Javi, in Charakan, in Dutch, in Arabic, and even in Chinese. They number 56 and addressed to Governor General Johan van Horn. These are diplomatic documents of Dutch East Indian Company, POC. And also one copy of Sejarah Melayu, which was brought from Malacca. But if we speak about the Islamic manuscripts, we have also Miraj Nabi Muhammad with infamous offer in our collection. And some hikayats.
All right. Okay, thank you very much for the information. So in Russia, we have 9 manuscripts from Bramka family. The first one is Hikayat Bataraguru, and the second one is Syair Ruslan dan Jepang. It's very unique manuscript that we can delve deeper to research, to make a research for this manuscript. And beside that, there are also early Malay letters written in Jawi, Carakan, and also Chinese, if I'm not wrong. And there is also Sejarah Melayu, a copy of Sejarah Melayu from Malacca. So very interesting manuscript in Russia, I think. That's Siti Horidatun Nayiro, the answer for you.
Okay, thank you so much for Professor Ariana and also Pak Herpin. I think it's clear enough for me. Thank you, Prof.
All right. The next question is from Sophie Isabella. Please, Sophie Isabella.
Okay, my voice is clear. Okay, thank you the opportunity. My name is Sophie Isabella. I'm from Diponegoro University. First of all, thank you, Prof. Irina, and good morning in Russia. I have 2 questions for Professor Irina. First, why are Prof. Irina interested in studying Sufi literature? And two, as the title suggests in the PowerPoint, the Islamic mystical doctrines and their influence of Sufi literature in Nusantara. Usually, what doctrine is most often found in Sufi literature? That's all. Thank you.
First one, why you have a huge, a good, interesting to Sufism? Why you have interest to Sufism? And the second one is, what's the most prominent concept, the most prominent doctrine from the Sufism in Nusantara?
Okay. For the first question, I can tell that that is a rather complicated question because it was my heart inclination, the interest of my inner soul, of my heart, and I started to learn it since my student years in the university. So I cannot answer to you on this question because it is a rather secret one, even for me. And for the second question, I can tell you that the most prominent conception is the conception of Vilaya, of course, the conception of sainthood, because the distinctive feature is of Sufism in Nusantara is the veneration of the saints, veneration of Wali, of course. I think so. And you have very, very peculiar, distinctive features, especially on Java, concerning the conception of Vilaya. And they are still not started completely. They were started studying by Peter Zoetmulder by translating the Javanese treatises, but I think it is not enough for today. There are few specialists knowing Javanese in the full scale for reading such treatises. So there is a challenge for future.
All right, thank you, Prof. Irina, for your answer, and Mbak Sophie, Isabella, for your question. So, the answer for the first question is the answer is something that you cannot explain, but we can only feel the 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 question why we have a huge interesting to the Sufism, something like that. And the second one, we have the concept that the most prominent concept in Sufism, Professor Irina Katkova said, is wilayah, something that that have connection to the saint, wali, the concept of wali, because concept wali is the veneration, something like that. So in Java, there are some Java treatise that not study completely. So it's become our become opportunity for us to study it more deeply because we have only a few Javanese focusing on the mystical dimension of Islam, like in the Java. Thank you very much, Sophie and Prof. Irina. Oh, there is one question left. It is okay to answer one question for the last time. All right. The last question is from Irham Maulana. Silakan Mas Irham Maulana.
Okay, thank you very much for the best opportunity. Before that, let me introduce myself. My name is Muhammad Irham Maulana. I'm from the Department of Indonesian Literature di Diponegoro University. So, I have one question for Professor Dr. Irina. My question is there a difference between Sufi literature that is influenced by local culture in Indonesia and Sufi literature that may also have developed in other countries? Okay, thank you.
The differences between Sufism literature, which is have influence from local culture, and the Sufism in another world, in another country. Prof. Irina, please answer the
No,
question.
I don't understand. What is the difference between
The
influence?
difference between Sufism in Indonesia, which is have influence from local culture, or and in another world, Sufism in another world, like in India or in maybe something like that, or not,
I see.
Mr. Irham?
I see. Yes, I think that there are some similarities between Sufism in Indonesia and in India, for example. Of course, because Indian influence is much more than from the other countries. Of course, because of your similar historical background and connections in the ancient times too. And of course, there is a big difference between Sufism in other countries, for example, in Central Asia or in Africa, or because we focus on the regional forms of Islam, and they are always different much and differ much in every geographical region, because it depends on historical background and local culture, and they couldn't be similar. Maybe you have many similarities with Indian Sufism.
Thank you, Prof. Irina, for the question. So we have the Sufism in different area have a different characteristic, like in Central Asia or in Africa. In Central Asia have their own historical background and also their own local culture. And also in Africa have also different historical background than Central Asia and also different local culture. So it makes Sufism in every nation or in every region is differ is from each other. Like that, Mas Irham Maulana. Yeah, Irham Maulana.
Okay, thank you very much for a great answer.
I don't hear you.
I'm sorry. Thank you very much for those of you who participate in this question and answer session. The last question from is Irham Maulana is the last. Oh, sorry, last. Uh, is the last for this question and answer. So, thank you very much. Then we can conclude from this discussion that Sufism have have a great impact to our culture, and also the local culture have impact to the Sufism, and there is a huge opportunity for us to study our manuscript regarding to Sufism in Indonesia, because we only have a few uh, scholar which is focusing on the Sufism in Nusantara, and there is also plenty of manuscript that we can translate it, we can study it in the future. Thank you very much for Professor Dr. Irina Katkova for your uh, lecture today. Uh, 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 the, may your presentation, your slide share uh, to our participant in this visiting professor
Yes,
program, Prof.
yes,
Irena?
Polish.
Terima kasih. Thank you very
Terima
much.
kasih banyak pada undangan dan perhatian semua orang.
Oh iya, terima kasih untuk
Ya,
presentasinya yang luar biasa, untuk
dan
waktunya yang sangat berharga diberikan kepada kami, Prof. Irina. Mudah-mudahan kita bisa bertemu lagi weekend
ya,
di lain kesempatan, Prof. Irina.
sampai pertemuan
Lagi, alright.
terima kasih.
Baik. Terima kasih Prof. Irina. Setelah ini saya kembalikan kepada MC Mbak Siti Komariah. Terima kasih Mbak Siti Komariah.
Ya.
Baik, terima kasih kepada Bapak Hervin yang telah memoderatori acara hari ini. Acara selanjutnya adalah penyerahan sertifikat kepada pembicara, yaitu Profesor Dr. Irina Gatkova, yang akan diberikan oleh PIC Visiting Professor hari ini kepada Bapak Nur Fauzan SSME. Disilahkan.
Terima kasih.
Baik, mungkin bisa diwakilkan oleh Bapak Soekarjo selaku Ketua Prodi Sastra Indonesia.
Terima kasih Prodi Sastra Indonesia FB Undip memberikan sertifikat dengan sangat senang hati dan terhormat kepada Profesor Dr. Irina R. Katkova. Mohon diterima Prof sertifikat elektronik ini.
Okay, that's all the certificate for you, Prof. Irina.
Ya,
Thank you
terima
for,
kasih.
ya, sama-sama.
Terima kasih Prof.
Ya,
Sampai
baik, baik. Terima kasih juga pada para hadirin sekalian yang telah hadir pada webinar hari ini. Tiba kita di penghujung acara. Dari kegiatan webinar hari ini, saya pribadi ingin mengucapkan terima kasih kepada pembicara kita, yaitu Profesor Dr. Irina Katkova, yang telah memberikan banyak ilmu mengenai sastra Sufi, terutama di Nusantara. Kepada Dekan Fakultas Ilmu Budaya, kepada Ketua Prodi Sastra Indonesia, kepada PIC Visiting Professor hari ini, kepada seluruh panitia acara Visiting Professor, serta peserta yang telah hadir memberikan kontribusi besar dalam acara seminar hari ini. Semoga acara ini bermanfaat dan memberikan wawasan baru bagi kita semua, serta memperkuat tali silaturahmi antar peserta dan pembicara. Terakhir, semoga kita semua dapat menerapkan ilmu yang telah diperoleh dari acara seminar hari ini dan mengaplikasikannya dalam kehidupan sehari-hari. Mari kita terus belajar dan belajar mengenai sastra yang ada di Indonesia, terutama mengenai pembinaan sastra yang merupakan warisan bangsa dan negara. Terima kasih atas perhatian dan kerjasamanya. Kami tutup acara ini. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you to you all.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Terima
kasih Prof. Irina.
Prof. Irina, sampai ketemu
Sampai
lain
ketemu.
kesempatan. Terima kasih para tamu peserta.
Ya,
Langsung ditutup.
Terima kasih.
nggak apa-apa. Terima kasih. Yuk.
Ya, teman.
Terima kasih. Senang bertemu dengan Prof. Irina.
Iya,
I'm
sampai
very glad to
pertemuan.
hear.
Ya, mudah-mudahan kami malah bisa berjumpa secara langsung. We can meet each other by face to face.
Ah, ya, face to face. Ya, ya.
So,
Terima kasih. Berharap.
Terima kasih.
ya, berharap. When you come to Indonesia, when you come, do you have a plan to come to
Ya,
Indonesia?
sampai pertemuan masa depan.
Sudah.
Okay, alright.
Ini YouTube-nya sudah terbuka, sudah tertutup.
3 menit. Biar pas SPJ. Oh.
Maaf, apa tadi
Terima kasih.
sama-sama. Pak Fuad, untuk link materi sudah bisa diakses, J?
Oh, nggih.
Oh, nggih.
Matur sembah nuwun.
Nggih, sami-sami.
Berarti lo men-share menika.